A beautiful lovely gamers, my name is Jonal. Roll Q is finally here as a proper season, not as a beta season, even though there was some delays on, when the proper season we're going to go live. It's finally here. So let's run on what is the best picks that you should play in this. Of course, as always, if you have a hero that you're really fucking good on and it works for you, then play. These are going to be, in my opinion, the best heroes and the most quote-unquote easy one. But again, you could be when Symmetra was known as to being a throw hero, there were people that managed to hit GM and top 100 with her. So you can get to whatever rank with whatever hero if you're just good enough with it. How these are going to be the most powerful and impactful heroes on the lineup, and I would like to hear your tips and so on down below so we can help the community out. So if you have a hero that you'd like or a specific playstyle or something like that, then, well, tell the community down below, or on our Discord server where we're also holding pugs from time to time. So I'll link to our Discord server down there. If you want to join the pugs, then just ask or check. There is an announcement that has been made where they can tell you how to join the pugs. So I hope I see you in there. Now, let's talk about tanks. So most tanks are actually viable in some way, form, or another. Orisa is at the top of the food chain. Just an incredibly strong individual hero with Fortify. It's very difficult to push her. She can sustain against majority of the tanks, so pushing in the front line of a bunker can be very difficult. It's also really good just because a front line with bunker can be so self-sustainable that if the backline is pressured, the backline can normally fight against whoever is solo diving or who is attacking them alone, which happens a lot in solo queue, and while the front line continuously keeps the enemy at bay. Holds are of course incredibly powerful, and the synergy between her and majority of the off tank work really well. Roadhog is a really good carry pick. He's been a good carry pick for so many seasons in a row. Of course, now as well, playing Orisa Hog is so much more powerful than a lot of people think, because it's not just the fact that it gives you the hold Hog, but the hook and the hold combo is so zoning. Like, you cannot, for example, let's say the enemy team plays also Orisa. The enemy team cannot, flank around the shield of their Orisa without getting risked or just getting pulled and then hooked into the enemy team if there's some form of synergy. Hog is a very carry hero. You can rank up very powerful if you have a good accuracy with the hook and you have good decision making and so on. D.Va is known to be a rush character. We see a lot of D.Va play in scrims when I've been coaching scrims, even very high tier scrims. I know some teams that play exclusively D.Va just because they're so good with it. This is such an aggressive rush comp with D.Va. You can also time bombs really well if the enemy team plays Orisa. As they place their shield, there's no shield refresh, so you can immediately send in the bomb, force out majority of the resources, or hopefully get a pick or two. Sigma, of course, is a very, very powerful damage hero. A lot of people have been playing him. The fact that you can angle two shields, what you have to remember is try to not use the shield to absorb too much spam. Use it to block very highly sought after abilities. But he's very strong if you have the accuracy and the mechanical skills. So especially towards the higher list when people become way better, more comfortable on him. He's very, very powerful as you have so much impact. But you can also be hard inting on him if you just don't have the mechanics to follow up and don't have the cooldown management to follow up on him. Now you might be thinking Reinhardt doesn't fit in this patch, and it doesn't really, but there are maps where you can play him on. If you play Rein with a Zarya or a D.Va, for example, and especially if you can play him with a Lucian, you can actually play maps where you can take control over choke points, where the bunker will have to push through and so on, and you're good on him, you can have a lot of impact. This allows you for such an aggressive brawler style. The problem is, again, that you need to force out the Fortify of the Orisa before you can kill it. So getting the Fortify out and then disengaging and then re-engaging it can be difficult for some Reinhardt players, or keep enough pressure around on a corner to make sure that the bunker, when the Orisa has the Fortify up, can't push around. This can be done by timing her shield, for example. So when she pops a new shield in the choke and she can't push aggressively, attack her, force out her Fortify, disengage that, and she cannot really push around the corner because she doesn't have her shield. And then as she gets her shield back, she won't have Fortify and you can push her back out. Dive comp still works great, and of course Ryan works really great with Zarya. Dive comp still works great with Winston, also because D.Va is, if you know how to play it, and if you have, decent DPS, but you can see that you're struggling. The whole idea is, again, that with Winston, also with Hammond, you can essentially just jump around the bunker, which is the issue. So just jumping around them and targeting backlines, targeting weak targets, targets sent alone, or soft diving onto a bunker to force out resources like Fortify, disengaging, and then diving once more to split off the front line for the backline, and then either killing the backline or the front line. So all tanks are to a certain extent viable, but you will see a lot of bunker just because it is such a powerful team composition, and you'll see a lot of Roadhogs, a lot of Sigmas, and a lot of Divas because they have so much impact on matches. But I've seen a billion Saryas because Sarya is such a powerful hero to carry with. Now going over to DPS. DPS are luckily, just because of the sheer amount of team composition that are played, right? You can still play Dive, Depot, and Bunker, even though Bunker is the most played. So a lot of the DPSs are just straight up very viable. Doomfist is really viable. For a lot of people that are good at Doomfist, he is the buffed version of Genji. That's because of his insane pick rate and how much you can just disturb a backline, or in general a enemy main group. With him, it's just really powerful. If you have the mechanical skills and the game sense to know how to properly do rollouts, when to do the rollouts, and how to actually time his abilities, you can do so much damage as a Doomfist. I've seen it when I coach Doomfist players, I've seen it in scrims, and I've seen it way too much in solo queue when the enemy Doomfist 1v5s my team. Genji can be played. I play a lot of Genji, just because you're off angling. There are two tanks to support 2 DPS. There are at least 4 blade targets there. You can pressure a lot of the tanks. You need to watch out for Sigma, but you can pressure a lot of the tanks. If they don't play with a Sigma, then it's way easier just because of the angles you can take and the less zoning that they have. So Genji, really powerful. If anything, just because of the blade. Even though there was an ultimate nerf to him, he's still really strong. It is like one of the season where he's really going. I have been enjoying him and playing really well on Genji. So I think that he's a pretty strong hero. Hanzo is still Hanzo. He still does shield break. Picks just does so many roles so well. Still a very just an S tier pick. He just does so much good. Angles, damage, pressure, picks, just everything really. Junkrat, of course. Again, I've been playing, like, if you play Junkrat really well and you're playing on defense specifically, it doesn't matter if they play double shields. You just stun, push, bomb the shit out of them, build Reptile, and wipe. It's super powerful. I highly recommend you, if you knew Junkrat before, play him now. He's so fucking good, especially on stuff like Paris first point defense. McCree, it can also be very powerful just because of the DPS that we see. We see a lot of Genjis, we see a lot of Doomfist, we see a lot of Symmetras, Pharaohs, right, Reapers. We see a lot of these. McCree with the flashbang can normally neutralize one of them, or at least stopping them from pushing in on you. And if you have the accuracy, you can just shred people. Same goes with Mei. Walling off and blocking Blizzard, really powerful. You can freeze a lot of the dive targets and so on. You can use Wall to force out more abilities, right? So imagine if you play Roadhog and Orisa and Mei, which is really common, the amount of stuff you can force out, right? The Wall will force them to pop fortify and rotate away from their own shield. The Hook and the Halt will do the same, right? There's just so many things that can just punish positioning, and there's so much air denial. If you play these 3 heroes, she's just fucking busted. Even though there are counters to him, McCree is one of them because you can just quickly punish a Mei that has low game sense. Farah works really well if you don't want to directly engage the bunker. You can just pressure them from a distance, especially with a mercy pocket, and then as they are low on resources, then you can engage them and really clean them up. I've seen some great Farah plays, both in OWL, in scrims, and also in solo queue. Reaper is still, in my opinion, just because there's a lot of Hansons, there's a lot of Krees, there's a lot of right, there's a lot of these ranged DPSs. Reaper is good, especially if you play him correctly and you have the rush comp with a new teleport and whatnot, but just remember, he's still very not that flexible, so I don't put him on I put him on, he can be good in some situation, but remember how little flexibility you have, even with the new teleport, so you can easily be zoned out, quite as similar to what you can do with a Doomfist, just a little bit worse on Reaper, as his engages are way slower. Sombra works incredibly well just because you can play around the bunker and again avoid it, and then EMP normally wipes bunker comms and works really good against dive and death ball as well. Symmetra is ridiculously powerful right now. You can do so much cancer with the Symmetra, and that's one of the main reasons that I swap over to like Hanzo or Kree, is just to counter the Sim, because you can flash her or you can one-ding her or something like that. So if you want to pick up Sim, or if you were a Sim player before and just been enjoying her, maybe take a look at Symmetra, because you can do some real nasty shit. Now the last 2 on my list is Tracer and Widowmaker. 2 DPSs which has been suffering in a lot of season. I think Tracer works really well right now. If you can play her correctly, just again, there's 4 squishes and 2 tanks. The amount of pressure you can do is insane. You can pressure so much heavily with her. Pulse Bomb allows for so many good picks or so many good opportunities. Playing around enemies can be really beneficial with Tracer, because you get so much damage and so much mobility out of her, and you can outdo so many of the DPSs or keep them on their toes, but you need to be very good to play her. Widowmaker is still Widowmaker. If you have the accuracy, nice. Problem with a lot of the shield comps that are played is just the fact that there are so many shields. There's so many barriers that just, it doesn't matter if you can, if you have the best aim in the world, if they're all camping behind shields. But abusing angles, especially low angles where people are out of position constantly, very easily punished. If the enemy team does not pick a 2 shield comp, or even, just not an Orisa comp, there's so many things you can punish. Just remember that the time to get a pick has been increased so much that the time that you use on getting that one pick, while you can do it, but it takes so much time against certain team compositions, especially if your aim isn't, top 500 accuracy, if it's like, you're a diamond player or something. The amount of time that you use on getting a kill, just because if they take some damage, they can hide behind you, get healed up. So you need that one-shot headshot to one of the squishies. Even though there's 4 of them, you still need to actually land that headshot with so many steep angles. The fight normally extends so long that when you get your first pick, the fight has even though the enemy team hasn't got a pick, they have drained your front line and your other DPS and support for all their resources. You got one pick, but now they are, actually killing the rest of your team because of the sheer damage output that they get, and value for stuff like Junkrat and Hanzo and so on. The sheer amount of value they can get from those can stop a Widow very heavily in her track. Onward to support. Most support, in my opinion, is viable. Outside Brig, she doesn't really work that well. I've seen her in scrims and it failed miserably. She can still be used in certain situations, but comparatively, she doesn't really work very well compared to other stuff. Ana and Senyara, holy shit, that was Ana and Senyara, that was better. Really good carry heroes, as always. I always mention these because you have so much impact, especially on Sen if you have the damage output. Ana, if you want to utility and survivability, so fucking busted. Baptiste, just for the brawl in general. If you need to brawl, if you want to run a brawling combo, you're scared of getting rushed by a rush comp, like Orisa Diva, for example. Playing Baptiste can be really, really fucking good. Lucio, just for speed, we talked about that in Ryan comps. We also talked a little bit about it in Bunker. You can use this as a rush comp. For example, if you play aggressively with a Orisa and a Diva, using this to just claim space really fast, or disengage, or something like that, works really well. Mercy in Bunker is busted just because you get the damage advantage. If you damage push correctly, you have res, and in general, you have pretty good heals with the mobility of some off angles. And Moira can work well. I've been seeing her struggle, especially since a lot of people start playing Genji now and start playing these heroes that apply. A lot of time you want angles and you want pressure from multiple directions, and having a Moira in a sense in main group just pocketing 2 tanks, especially the players that play like Moira Lucio, which probably work fine if everybody played in the main group, but if you play like Hanzo or Genji or Widow or Doomfist or Tracer or with most heroes, these will extend away from your main group, making sure that the Moira and the Lucio will never get any heals in, which is really bad. So having someone like a Senyara or an Ana or even a Mercy or a Baptiste that can actually do some form of range healing is important in this meta. So I highly recommend you, if you're going to pick either Lucio or Moira, make sure that this actually complements, even though it complements the Bunker, make sure it complements the DPSs that you know is going to off angle or push or do something on their own, because it's really good that they do so and have the resource to do so, just because they need to apply that amount of pressure. But that is my most best picks for Season 18 here on Overwatch. Tell me down below who you're gonna play, who you think is really best this season, and if so, why, so other people can learn from you. Join the Discord community for pugs, link down in the description as well. And if you want to hire me as a private coach, so if you want to improve, get better at the game, doesn't matter if you're bronze or top 100, you can hire me. Hit me up on Discord in a private DM. It's 50 euros for a 2-hour session. So I hope I see you there so we can help you improve and just rank up this season, as it's finally new 2-2 roll-lock with a proper implemented season. So I hope I see you guys there. Please, guys, take care of this, the positive. My name is Jonal, and you guys, as always, keep the enemy in your crosshair.